Welcome to Twinsburg, Ohio, over on the east side of Cleveland. If you're thinking about moving to Northeast Ohio, we're gonna go over the schools, the parks, the crime, the amenities, the restaurants, everything you need to know about living in Twinsburg, Ohio. So let's go. Twinsburg has kind of a funny history. Ethan Alling was credited for settling this in the 1800s, and it was then known as Millsville. He later became the stagecoach owner, the hotel owner. A couple years later, two brothers named Aaron and Moses, like the two brothers in the Bible, came and bought thousands of acres of land and started splitting it off into small plots, which they sold to people to build a school and settle this town. What's funny is that Aaron and Moses were identical twins, and they bought all of this land on the condition that they would rename Millsville to Twinsburg. So Aaron and Moses were so identical that apparently only their closest friends could tell them apart, and that's where Twins Day Festival comes from in Twinsburg. It's kind of an interesting festival. Twins from all over the country come and gather in Twinsburg for this giant Twins Day Festival. So we're over in Twinsburg Square, right in the center of town, and this is about it for the Twinsburg Square. There's not a lot of shopping here. There's a few stores, maybe a couple restaurants, but it's not like that walkable downtown area you have in Chagrin Falls or Hudson. Those are only 10 minutes north and south, so if you're looking for that downtown walkable experience, it's really close. So you have really easy access here to 480 freeway. You're only about 30 minutes from downtown Cleveland, 35 minutes from downtown Akron, 30 to 40 minutes from the Cleveland Hopkins Airport. So it's a really convenient location in Northeast Ohio, even though 480 and 271 do get backed up a little bit, so it does take a little bit more time to get downtown if you're working in Cleveland. So Twinsburg's only about 20,000 people. It's not a huge city. There's a large industrial area just south of 480. Brings a lot of jobs here, CVS, Sifron. There's an Amazon warehouse there as well. But the majority of Twinsburg is residential. So Twinsburg is really known for its highly rated schools, the great parks, and affordable, relatively affordable houses that they have here, which we'll talk about a little bit later when we go over some of the neighborhoods. So for shopping in Twinsburg, right behind me, you have the Giant Eagle in the town square. There's a few shops and restaurants down here, but there's also a Heinen's just north on 91. And then if you're looking for more than that, there is a drug mart over on the east side of Twinsburg. Solon has a huge Giant Eagle Market District. Aurora has a Walmart, a Home Depot, a Dick's Sporting Goods. And then only about 10 minutes up the road here, you have a Sam's Club. So there's tons of groceries and shopping right around this area within 10 minutes. So for restaurants in Twinsburg, you have Brewster's. There's a nice patio over there. El Chili Bravo is really good for Mexican. There's a restaurant called Aaron and Moses, named after the two founders of Twinsburg, right by the golf course. I had lunch there today. It was actually really good. There is a Handel's ice cream here as well. And if you're looking for something a little bit fancier, there is Blue Canyon Restaurant. And if you guys want more restaurants, we're 10 minutes from Chagrin Falls and Hudson. Like I said, there are some really good options there. Now I want to show you guys some of the great amenities in Twinsburg. So we're going to head over to the community center and some of the parks here. But one of the biggest reasons that people move to Twinsburg is the school system. So Twinsburg High School is rated number 57 in all of Ohio, according to US News, and Niche.com puts them at number 33 out of 607 in Ohio. It's not as highly rated online as Solon, but Niche.com gives them an overall grade of an A. Their elementary schools and middle schools got an A rating, and their high school got an A-. They have really nice campuses here for the high school and middle school, and they're only a few minutes away from the downtown square. So crime is relatively low in Twinsburg, according to Neighborhood Scout. They're safer than 72% of US cities. Chances of being a victim of violent crime are 1 in 3,800, whereas our average in Ohio is 1 in 297. National median crime per 1,000 residents is 4, and Twinsburg sits well below that at 0.26. Property crime is a little more frequent, as it is with anywhere, and it's always a good idea to check crime maps and online sources whenever you're thinking of moving somewhere. So this is the Twinsburg Fitness Center. Right behind me, they have an indoor pool here. It is a little bit cheaper for Twinsburg residents, but they do allow non-residents to have memberships here as well. They have a basketball court. They have a really nice gym area in there. And then right behind us is Glen Chamberlain Park, where they have all the Rock the Park concerts during the summer. So let's run up there and I'll show you that as well. So over by Glen Chamberlain Park, there's also a water park, the Twinsburg Water Park, which is basically just a pool and a water slide. And that's actually separate from the community center membership. And then this is Glen Chamberlain Park. You have a couple pavilions. There's a basketball court over here. There's a little playground in the back. And then over to our right is the amphitheater. They have the Rock the Park concerts all summer long. They just had a Metallica tribute, Beatles versus Stones group, and they have some other local bands here. There's just a lot going on in Twinsburg all summer. They have a Memorial Day parade. Christmas, they have a little lights festival and some things going on with Santa down in the main square. Of course, Twins Day Festival, which is huge here that I mentioned earlier. And they just have a really active Parks and Rec department. So speaking of parks, before we go look at some of the neighborhoods and real estate here, I'm gonna show you a few of the best parks here. We're gonna head over to Liberty Park now, which is on the east side of 91, right off of Liberty Road. There's some really nice trails in here. You have the ledges, there's a small cave, there's a great boardwalk area, and then you have this pavilion up by the front. They have a lot of events here with the Park Service. And then right up the road from here is the Twinsburg Field Park with the baseball fields, the soccer fields. There's a playground up there as well. And then the dog park is right next to that. So if you have dogs, you can bring them there, and there's a really nice fenced in area. And Twinsburg has a really extensive website for all of their amenities. So it's really convenient, and I'll link to all of that down in the description. If you just want to learn more about Twinsburg and living here, tons of information on those websites. Now over on the west side of 91 is Center Valley Park. And Center Valley Park has some really cool trails in there as well. There are pavilions at most of these parks that you can rent, and there are some playgrounds as well. Right by Center Valley Park is also the community garden space, and you can go on their website for that and reserve one of the plots there. Now, just north of Center Valley Park is Glen Meadow Park, right off of Glenwood Drive. Glen Meadow also has pickleball courts. Sorry guys, I gotta mention that. I love pickleball. Speaking of sports, there is the Glen Eagles Golf Course, which I forgot to mention in my last video about Twinsburg, and one of my viewers, one of you guys, reminded me of it. So this is actually one of the top courses in Northeast Ohio. I don't golf myself, but I've talked to a lot of golfers, and they love this course just because of how it's laid out. It's a little bit more challenging. And this is where that Aaron and Moses restaurant is. They have a bar there. They have an event venue, so you can have events and weddings on the golf course. And this sits right in the middle of Twinsburg in the Ethans Green neighborhood, which brings us conveniently to real estate in Twinsburg. So houses here range from about $120,000 condos all the way up to $700,000 single family houses. And there's an effective property tax rate here of about 2%, depending on if you're in Twinsburg or Reminderville. So it's really a more affordable tax rate than say somewhere like Shaker Heights or Cleveland Heights. There's also a RETA tax here on income of about 1 to 2%. So let's jump in the car here, and I'm gonna show you around almost all of the more popular or more well-known neighborhoods here. This is by all means does not cover everything, but it'll give you a good idea of what you can get in Twinsburg. There are quite a few split levels. There's a little bit of new construction and some really nice condos here as well. So the majority of Twinsburg is under half an acre lots. There are a few houses in here with over an acre, but most of them aren't. So if you're looking for more land and space, Twinsburg is probably going to be pretty tough. And the majority of houses are north of 480. I'm going to show you guys Twinsburg Schools real estate, not just Twinsburg City. So there's a neighborhood here that's technically in Aurora, but Twinsburg Schools, and I'll point that out when we go through it. Some of the houses on the south side of Twinsburg schools are also Hudson addresses. So we're going to start in the Glenwood neighborhoods right off of Glenwood Road. You've got Glen Meadow Park right there, which is really nice. You're also close to Center Valley Park. These are on the northwest side of Twinsburg. So just off Broadway Avenue in Glenwood, you have the Glenwood Preserve. A lot of these houses are built in the 90s, about 2,500 square feet, typically 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. Lots of them have basements. Prices in the $350,000 to $450,000 range this year. East of this is the Heritage Estates subdivision, a little bit more affordable. They are in the $250,000 to $350,000 range. Most of these are built in the 70s though. They're 3 to 4 bedrooms, lots of split levels in there without basements. So if you're looking for basements, a lot of those Glenwood Preserves have them, and they are about 20 years newer. South of Glenwood is Glenwood Acres. Lots of smaller ranch houses on slabs in here. Average price is around $200,000 to $250,000, and most of these are built in the 50s. So if you're looking for something a little smaller, more affordable, less maintenance, these are a great option. Most of them are going to be under 1,500 square feet, so they're a little bit smaller. Usually 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, and like I said, most of them are on slabs, so they don't have basements. On the south side of this neighborhood is Ridge Meadow Court. There are some 2 to 3 bedroom condos under $200,000. I've actually shown almost every one of these that's been for sale in the past year. They're usually gone in a day. These are pretty popular. Some of them are nicely updated. A couple of them have been a little bit more outdated. Right across the street are more condos in the 200s range, and then there's Presidential Parkway condos across the street in the $120,000 to $140,000 range. The last one I sold in there had multiple offers and went for $125,000. It was pretty well updated. They're kind of more like row houses. There are a couple lines of them. Rolling Acres is also in that neighborhood with the Presidential Parkway condos. These are mostly 1960s, 1970s houses, lots of split levels. Like I said, there are a lot of split levels in Twinsburg. They have basements about 1,500 to 2,000 square feet, 3 to 4 bedrooms. This is also right next to the school, which is convenient, and it does back up to 480, so you will hear the freeway. I found that about 50% of my clients don't mind traffic noise. It bothers me, and for some that may be a deal breaker, but most of the neighborhood is off the freeway enough that you're not going to hear it anyway. Heading back north, just off of 91 is Meadowood. The HOA here is only like $60 a year. There aren't a lot of really expensive HOAs in Twinsburg. These houses are a little bit newer, in the 90s, 2,000 to 2,500 square feet above, and then they have basements below. Some of them are finished, some of them are not. Just below this is the Corbett's Farm, which has some newer construction around 2015. HOA here is $750 annually, I believe. These are much larger houses, so they're in the 3,000 to 5,000 square foot range and the high 5 to 600s. Both of these are north of Glenwood Drive. They're right across from the Ethan's Green neighborhood with the Glen Eagles golf course that I mentioned, and you have the Heinen's grocery store right there on the corner as well, the Aaron and Moses restaurant, Marco's Pizza. Real quick, I'll mention this neighborhood south of the Corbett's Farm. These are about $250,000 to $300,000. There's no HOA there. Most of these are built in the 60s, 1,500 to 2,000 square feet. Lots of split levels with basements. I actually sold one in there in 2021, and there were lines of cars at every showing, multiple offers. My colleague just listed one here last month, and that was gone pretty quick, so they do sell fairly quickly in here. They're pretty popular. Jumping across 91 to the largest neighborhood in Twinsburg, this is Ethan's Green. There is a wide range of houses and condos in here. Right off of 91, there are quite a few condos. There are attached units from $250,000 to $350,000. I've seen quite a few of those recently. And then there are some detached units ranging from $350,000 all the way up to $600,000. That's a little bit more rare. That one was right on the golf course. It was massive. It was 4,300 square feet, as you can imagine, for that $600,000 price range. So most of them are a little bit closer to the 400s. I'd say this neighborhood is about 40% condos and 60% single family, but don't quote me on that. I haven't counted it. Most of the single family houses are built in the 90s. They range from $350,000 up to $500,000. Average price in here is about $400,000 though. Some of them are updated, some of them are not. They're about a third of an acre, so still under an acre, but it's a little bit more property on some of those. 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, average about 2,500 square feet plus the basement. If you guys are looking for larger, more updated homes in the 400 to 600 range, a lot of those are going to be east of 91 in this strip of neighborhoods here, which brings us to the Willowbrook just east of Ethan's Green. These are about $400,000 to $600,000. They're some of the newer houses in Twinsburg, built in the 2000s. They range from about 2,500 square feet to over 4,000 square feet. So this is kind of that area if you're looking in that price range for a little bit larger of a house. South is Liberty Ledges. This is kind of similar, but these are mostly around 2015, 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 2,000 to 3,000 square feet above. Before we head down to Liberty Road past the park, we're going over to Aurora Shores, this is the neighborhood that's technically in Aurora, and this is kind of a 2-part neighborhood that shares this massive lake. So we're still in Twinsburg Schools on this side, and on the other side of the lake is Aurora Schools in Aurora. So this is a private lake. It's just for these 2 neighborhoods. It is huge. You could have boats, water skiing, kayaking. This site has 2 swimming pools, basketball, tennis court, clubhouse. There's a lot of amenities in here. I'd say this neighborhood has the most amenities in Twinsburg Schools. The HOA in here is really reasonable. It's only about $600 to $700 a year,
which if you're looking at other neighborhoods with similar amenities, that could be, $300 to $400 a month. The majority of these are single family houses, although there are quite a few condos in here as well. Single family starting in the 200s, going all the way up to the 600s. Most of these are built in the 70s and 80s. I'd say $300,000 probably gets you about 1,600 square feet, pretty updated, split level. If you want 3,000 square feet on the water, that's going to be those $500,000 to $600,000. The last one I believe to sell in here was $625,000. Wasn't even updated, but it was massive and it was right on the lake. Condos in here are typically $150,000 to $250,000. There's quite a range of those as well, and I've been in almost all of them that have been up for sale for the past 2 years, and some of those are pretty nice. Moving on, just below Ethan's Green, there are quite a few different HOA neighborhoods. These houses are 90s or newer, much larger, 4,000 to 5,000 square feet, 5 bedrooms. If you go further south, there are some built in the 2000s, and these are in the 500 to 600 range, like I mentioned earlier. They're also right across the street from Liberty Park, which is super fun just to be able to walk right over there. And if you're looking for properties with more space, maybe half an acre, there are a few streets in Twinsburg that have those. There are also a couple neighborhoods on the south side of Twinsburg that I mentioned are in Hudson, but the Twinsburg schools as well, we just didn't really cover those. So those are most of the major neighborhoods in Twinsburg. Like I said, this doesn't cover all of them by any means, but it will give you an idea of what you can buy in different areas and different price ranges.
That is all of Twinsburg. I know that was a little bit of a long video, so thank you guys. Anything that I missed and you want to know about Twinsburg, put it down in the comments. Somebody mentioned Glen Eagles Golf, so thank you for that, and thank you guys for watching.